Three Body Problem Season 1 is out on Netflix, new science fiction show from the creators of Game of Thrones. Just as a funny reminder, these guys famously rushed the final 2 seasons of that show because they were at that time promised by Disney to helm the new Star Wars trilogy. But after everyone saw what a disaster the ending of Game of Thrones ended up being, the Star Wars thing was cancelled. Benioff and Weiss were doing nothing for a couple of years until finally they struck a deal with Netflix and made this, an adaptation of the first from a trilogy of Chinese novels written by Cixin Liu. I have read them a couple years ago. I thought they were incredibly strange and unusual, and while some of the hard sci-fi concepts explored were fascinating, I thought that the character work was abysmal, and also the later books get completely bonkers, so I wonder how they can even be adapted. And in general, the response online to the books seemed to be that they're excellent, sort of a modern classic. I don't necessarily agree with that. I found them to be just okay in some aspects and not okay in others. I suspect parts of it may have to do with the translation. I read them in Polish, and presumably the Chinese, a lot of the Chinese language and cultural nuance was lost as a result. Anyway, the first season of the show, 8 episodes, around an hour each, covers the first book. Changes some things for the better, I think. A lot of the characters and setting are moved from China to the West to sort of help the Western viewer get connected with them. But also a lot of the stuff stays pretty much exactly the same as it was in the book. So it's not an adaptation that completely, reinvents things. The story starts in modern day when science is going wrong. Experiments results all around the world are becoming unpredictable and crazy. Some scientists begin committing unexplained suicides, others experience strange visual and other phenomena. Eventually, it turns out that back in the 1960s, contact was made with an alien race, the San-Ti. There were messages exchanged back and forth. Obviously, because of the limitations of the speed of light, it took some time to get to where we are now. And what happens now is the aliens are en route to Earth to colonize it as their new home planet, because their original home planet is completely unstable. And through their currently superior technology, they are attacking Earth by fucking with our science to sort of stop progress and disable humans from fighting back when the aliens finally arrive 400 years in the future. We follow a group of scientists who are friends from Oxford as they navigate this situation and in various different ways attempt to contribute to a solution. So I liked the show. I think I liked it better than I did the book, at least so far. As I said before, it manages to improve on the things that needed improving, primarily the characters. It manages to actually have characters that are more than paper-thin, single characteristics for the most part, and made me care about some of them. The central concepts are still fascinating, and some of the elements of the story, like the video game and the cell phones, are still wacky as hell. There are things in here which are silly and dumb and kind of make no sense. There are plot contrivances like Will's storyline and how the way it ends up fitting with the rest. Although admittedly I liked Will as a character anyway. The visuals are cool, even if sometimes goofy. Benedict Wong is very enjoyable as Inspector Shi. Liam Cunningham is great as Wade, the sort of chief of Earth's response forces. There's the episode with the ship, which, not to spoil anything, is extremely shocking and graphic in all the good ways. It is a show geared primarily towards fans of sci-fi, people who are already familiar with the genre. I don't think it makes itself accessible or relatable enough for the average Joe. But since I personally am a science fiction fan, it worked for me. I won't say it's great, and also it does feel like the 8 episodes of setup. The story is just really starting up by the end. So we'll have to check out the next seasons to see how that manages to develop. But I enjoyed watching it so far, and I am going to check out these next seasons for sure.